Sir,
Yeah, tell me.
now you go for live, sir. Go for that is screen share.
Okay, okay. Yeah, is it there?
Sir, it's yes, sir. Make it presentation also.
It will take some time. I don't know why it is. When I press presentation mode, no?
It will take some time, sir. Delay is
Okay,
there
okay,
already.
okay, okay. Fine. Is it okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
you
Should
proceed,
I?
sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, sorry for the interruption once again. I hope now I'm clearly audible over there. I was just discussing about as cement is the basic ingredient to make the structures, we need to understand it better so that we make a sustainable and durable structures over there. So when I was just saying that the fundamentals or the concepts have to be very clear to the students. I was just giving one example that when you add water to a cement, why the temperature rises? From where the energy came in that cement? So to answer that, they should be aware that when we make this cement, we are heating the raw materials up to 1400 degrees centigrade. So this, whatever the heat energy is there, so that is there in that cement grains. So when we add water to that, this heat energy will come out as part of heat, and it will help in hydration process of the cement. Yes, one minute. 1 minute. I'm in a call. I call you back. Aniket, hello.
Sir,
Hello.
still that
Aniket,
same
I'm in a
problem.
call.
Same problem is there, sir. Will you close to that mic? That will be fine.
No, still problem is there.
Now it is not
Hello.
there. When you are presenting, that problem is there.
I don't know how because the same setup is there. I'm just speaking.
Uh,
Okay, fine. Let me continue. Okay.
yes, yes.
So this is what the cement, as you know, it is a binder, a substance used for construction that sets, hardens, and adheres to other materials to bind them together. Cement, to be very it is called a binding material which binds two materials, that is coarse and fine aggregates. Properties of a cement, when we have to use the cement, we need to mainly look for fineness, strength, setting time, soundness, and chemical properties of this cement. Okay. To some extent, I'll just say how the cement is made. It is basically a complex in nature. It's a very labor intensive, or I mean, uh, to make a one cement plant, it needs almost around 1800 crores of rupees. Okay. Uh, yeah. Am I audible now to all?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very closely you talk, sir.
Okay, fine.
And you keep your
Yeah,
electronics
yeah.
items away, sir.
Yeah.
That
Mainly
is
it is the
also
limestones which we are taking. It's being crushed and properly proportioned with various materials. Like then it is fed into the raw mill, and then to the raw mill silos, and then it goes to the kiln. Kiln is the heart of making the cement, wherein the major chemical reaction takes place with the calcareous and siliceous material. Then the clinkers are formed. These clinkers are cooled, okay, in a cooler, and it is fed into a cement mill. Then it goes to a packing plant, and then to a various destinations through transportation. This is what in brief about making of a cement. To say anything, what happens in the kiln is it is the calcium carbonate which is around which is burned in kiln for about 1450 degrees centigrade, forms a CaO and CO2. You can see when I say that 1 ton of making of cement releases 1 ton of carbon dioxide. So here I have written an equation like this: 100 is nothing but chemical. This is the molecular weight of CaCO3, which is 100, and CEO is 56 and this is 44. Okay, so then after this, some chemical reactions again takes place to form the various C3S, C2S, C3A and C4AF kind of chemicals are formed into that. So this is very simple equation how the cement is being made. It is a basic equation over there. Okay, now the second equation what I'm showing is the hydration process. Like when you take cement, we are adding water, along with that fine aggregates as well as coarse aggregate. So there will be a chemical reaction between the cement and water, which we call it as an hydration. The hydration products are CSH gel, which is responsible for binding two materials. So the cement is nothing but a kind of adhesion. It is like a Fevicol kind of thing, which like binds two materials. So this is the material responsible for binding two materials. Okay. Then plus there is some more byproduct is made, which we call it as calcium hydroxide, which is lime. This is not good for cement or a concrete. I mean, it just gives alkalinity to a concrete. Otherwise, it is detrimental to the whole of concrete or a structures. So our endeavor is to reduce this calcium hydroxide in the concrete as much as possible. Okay. Otherwise, this will affect the durability of the structures, or I mean the sustainability of the structures over there. Okay. This is what the basic chemical reaction takes place. First thing in a cement, and the second one is when you use this cement for making concrete or mortar, this is what the chemical reaction takes place over there. So now let us understand more about little bit cement, the raw materials. Compounds of Portland cement, like what it forms is generally we call C3S, C2A, C3A and C4AF. These are the compounds formed in a cement. The percentage is given like this, and the heat of hydration is also given over here, and in calories per gram, whereas this is joules per gram. So what we need to understand from this chart is major material is around calcium, tricalcium silicate, okay, which also gives more heat of hydration. If you see, C3A releases more heat of hydration, but its quantity is very less compared to C3A. So the major initial strength giving material is C3S in the cement, which is responsible, and C2S is responsible for later day strength, and these two are for like controlling the setting properties of a cement. You can see over here rate of gain of strength over here. You can see the C3S. Okay, initially the strength will be more like this, and then comes over there. Whereas C2S, okay, later day strength it contributes more over there. C3A and C4AF doesn't contribute strength to the concrete. These are the oxide composition of that cement. Like in a cement particle, it is calcium oxide is there, SiO2 is there, alumina is there, and iron is there. And this is the composition which is present over there. And these are the minor oxides which are there in the cement itself. Okay. And the significance of excess silica, like if the cement contains excess silica, difficult in fusion and vaporization. Okay. In the cement, I mean in the raw materials, if there is an excess alumina in the raw material, which leads to high C3A, so high early strength, you will get it. If MgO is more in the cement or the raw materials, then that leads to unsoundness of a cement. Soundness is nothing but there should not be any cracks later on, okay, because of the reaction of this MgO with the water. Then alkali's content should be as minimum as possible. Otherwise, it reacts with silica, which is there in the aggregates, and expands, which leads to cracks in the structure. Okay, and SO3 decide the percentage of gypsum which needs to be added in making the cement. This was the chemical hydration process. I'll just skip this slide. Okay, this is physical parameters of various grades of cement are there, which you can see from the any of the course. You will find it out. I don't go detail into that. Okay, next is about the chemical parameters. Okay, this is again the chemical parameters of various others, RHPC, low heat cement of cements. When you take a cement, there are some simple tests which needs to be done at the site itself. Okay, feeling smooth when rubbed with fingers. So if it is not smooth, then some gritty material is there in that, which could be some adulteration. There should not be any visible lumps. Okay, lumps means if it is crushable with the fingers, then it is okay. If it is not crushable, then the hydration has already taken place. So that cement is not useful. Put hand in a cement bag, we should get a cool feeling in that. Put cement in water, it should float and settle. Okay, these are the tests which are done at the sites to understand the whether the cement is good or it is hydrated. Okay, means when we say a glass of water is there, you put cement on that. For some time it should float and then it settles. If it settles immediately, then there are some courses or some other material is present in the cement. Throw cement on wall, some cement should stick on the wall before it falls. Okay, then knead cement paste. If you make a ball of that, within 6 to 7 hours, it should harden. So these are some of the site tests, because before you give it to the lab anyway you will get the result. But these are the things which we as engineers should do it to ascertain whether the cement is good or bad. Laboratory, you can do all these tests like fineness, standard consistency, setting time, strength, compressive as well as tensile, soundness test, heat of hydration, or a chemical composition test can be done in the labs. Now coming to the cement, generally when we ask any of the users over that what kind of cement you can use apart from the brands, generally it comes as OPC. Okay, now we can see the difference between OPC and a blended cement. Today we need to promote more of blended cement because of durability and sustainability. Okay, as I said, use less clinker. Less clinker means we have to use the cement. Less clinker means again blended cement used to be we need to use more. OPC, you have seen the grading over there, like 33, 43 and 53. Okay, that's one thing, and these are gradings given on their 28 days compressive strength. If we say 53 grade cement, that cement has got a strength of 53 megapascal at 28 days aging. Okay, that's one part of OPC. Instead of OPC, we need to prefer more of blended cement. Okay, what is blended cement? It is nothing but we are taking clinker and adding into that some of the pozzolanic material. Okay, fly ash or even the slag to make it blended cement. Okay, now blended cement earlier in 1970s it was there, but there were some issues of blending over there. So the floating particles used to be more over there. So the customers had, oh, we cannot use this blended cement. But later today, now the blending technology is there. You'll get a very good blend of fly ash as well as slag into the clinkers or an OPC. You'll get a good cement. So now promotion of more blended cement has to be done. Okay, because it gives less carbon dioxide to the atmosphere and it is more sustainable and durable over there. So what we do in PPC or cement is nothing but we take a clinker, with that gypsum is added and we are adding a fly ash from 15 to 35%. Okay, grind it well and give it as a PPC, which is IS 1489-2015 as per BIS code. Okay, there's one more blended cement which we call it as a PSC, that is Portland slag cement. Okay, here also we take clinker, gypsum is taken, and a slag from 25% to 70% can be added. So suppose if we are adding in that around 70%, the clinker percentage is less than 30%. So lesser the clinker, less will be the carbon dioxide emitted to the atmosphere. So that's why we need to promote more of blended cement. Okay. Now what is this blended? What we are blending with? Mainly a pozzolanic material which we need to. So this is not a new material, like it has been used more than 2000 years old also. This pozzolanic material has been used. Okay. So presently we are using fly ash as a major blending material in making a PPC. Fly ash is a byproduct of burning pulverized coal in an electrical generating station. Okay, it is an unburned residue that is carried away from the burning zone in the boiler by the flue gases and then collected by either mechanical or the electrostatic separators. When you see under the microscope, this is the kind of fly ash which is there. Okay, it looks like this. Okay, so the heavier unburned material drops to the bottom the furnace and is termed as a bottom ash. This material is not generally suitable for use for making a blended cement. And the one which goes up is collected in a electrostatic precipitators, and that is used for blending with the cement to make PPC. Now, these are the characteristics which I don't go into details of this, which you can read it. Physical requirement of this thing and the chemical requirement of this fly ash. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. This is so let us quick. Let us see what advantage we are getting by using this PPC. Performance and quality of concrete is enhanced. Fly ash affects the plastic properties of concrete by improving the workability. Okay, it reduces water demand. As you are aware, lesser the water in a concrete or a mortar, more will be the strength. So by adding this fly ash, as these are spherical particles, this acts as a ball bearing in the concrete matrix. So the requirement of water will be less. It reduces segregation and bleeding, lowers the heat of hydration because the clinker is less. So the heat of hydration will be less. If the heat of hydration is less, the cracks developed in the structure will be less. If the cracks are less, definitely it leads to durability as well as sustainability. Fly ash increases the strength. I will show with one more equation later, and it reduces the permeability of the concrete also. You can see now the same equation what I told earlier. It is a cement or a clinker into cement. That is CTS, we call it, then water. When you add that, there will be a chemical reaction as a hydration process. Then the gel is formed, which we call it as calcium silicate hydrate gel. This gel is responsible for binding material. This acts as a binding material. I said this is the hydrated line. I mean the calcium hydroxide, which is a byproduct of this chemical reaction. This doesn't have any role. Okay, this is detrimental to the concrete. It just makes the concrete alkaline. That's all. Okay, so this we need to reduce as much as possible. This is what the OPC hydration, ordinary Portland cement. In case if you are having this PPC, this will be the secondary reaction, what we call. The first reaction will be there like this. CSA gel is formed. Now, when you are adding PPC to that, this pozzolanic material will react with unwanted material which is there, and in presence of water, again it makes a CSH gel. Okay, again this we call it as a secondary reaction, which is good for binding and gives an additional binding to the material. So this is what the advantage of PPC is there. Secondary gel formation, reduction of this calcium hydroxide. If it calcium hydroxide around almost 25% is present in OPC reaction. So this gets reduced, okay, so that the leaching later problems won't be there. So that's why we say that we need to be using more of blended cement. In fact, in India, if you see around 10 years back, the percentage of usage of this PPC was very less, maybe just 15% or 20% kind of thing. But today, the people are using more blended cement. Maybe today, if you say more than 60% to 70% is a blended cement. Okay, that kind of awareness is there right now. Okay, this is the study on blended cement has led to chloride penetration 3 times lower in blended than OPC. Delay in onset of corrosion even under cracked condition than OPC. Corrosion induced crack widths and weight loss of revas in PPC less than OPC. Results show reduction in diameter due to pitting was less in PPC than OPC concrete. So all these that if you use blended cement, that leads to durable concrete over there. Okay, so this has been a study done in IIT. Okay, these are the results of that. Implications for service life. In terms of service life controlled by chloride induced corrosion, it is 3 times service life can be increased with PPC, that is a blended cement, superplasticizer and water cement ratio keeping less than 0.5. Again, with further reduction of water cement ratio to 0.35, increase in life will be approximately 7 times. So what this slide highlights is, if we use blended cement with a proper superplasticizer and controlling the water cement ratio in a concrete, definitely the corrosion will be reduced in a concrete, thus increasing the durability as well as the sustainability of the structures over there. So the important thing is we need to use less of water, we need to use blended cements only, and usage of plasticizer in making a concrete, which will be more durable and sustainable. Okay, you are aware about this concrete. Okay, I'll just pass through. Concrete is a strong, durable, has got a long life. It is abrasion resistant, low maintenance, low permeability, not combustible compared to wood, can be formed virtually into any shape because as it is in a liquid form, and moreover it is economical. When we say economical, like I used to always give an example like the cost of concrete. Okay, if you say per kilo cost, the cost of concrete is not more than 2 to 3 rupees per kilo, because if you are aware, the per cubic meter today the cost of RMC is around something around 4 to 5,000 rupees per cubic meter. If you consider 2400 as the density of that, then it works out to be around maximum 3 rupees per kilo is the cost of concrete. And if you compare with any waste newspaper, today it is selling at maybe 6 to 7 rupees per kilo. So it is less than the waste of waste newspaper. So generally it is thought that concrete is costly. No, it is not costly. It's quite economical. Okay, so whenever using concrete in structures, making it more durable or sustainable, we need to look into good strength, workability has to be there, proper retention has to be there, definitely it has to be durable, and more important is economic. Okay, and others are also important like free flow, color, abrasion resistant, rheological properties, segregation, less heat of hydration, and it has to be impermeable. So these are the things which we look into a good concrete. Okay, durability, I'll just run through. Okay, again, durability and sustainability goes hand in hand. Sustainability is better or even one step ahead because durability, we just look into how to make the structures more durable, whereas sustainability is, okay, on its own, it has to be there. Usage of lower of local material, all those things will also come into place. I'll just run through this. These are the structures wherein they are standing since last 4,000 to like 400 to 500 years. Okay, but today if you build any of these structures, they won't last more than say like 60 to 70 years. Okay, why there should be? What are the reasons for this? Why the structures built earlier were of more durable or sustainable, whereas today they are not there? The reason being, first of all, it is a material itself. Okay, because there was no steel embedded in any of these structures, so no corrosion, definitely the sustainability or durability is there. Second is, like earlier used to be lime, a good quality lime, and the proper time was given for these structures to make. Time, I mean, these structures are not built in 1 year, 2 year or 3 years, but it took more 7 to 8 years or 10 years kind of thing. Proper timing was given to make a structures. Today we are not giving any time. I mean, if you make a mortar, okay, if you observe at the site, the labor will make the mortar within a span of just less than 2 to 3 minutes. He will make a mortar. Okay, but that's not the case. Properly, it has to be mixed over there. Okay, so the proper time which has to be given for the structure is not being given. And third point is about the passion, or I mean the workmanship. We are not giving a proper thought to this workmanship. Proper supervision is not there. That's the reason why today the structures are not durable. Okay, few examples like a lot of honeycombing will be there. The bars are exposed to the sunlight. We make these kind of holes into the structure. While making, there will be a lot of vibration, and the finishing of this won't be there. That is the point where the leakage starts, thereby deterioration of the structure. Proper supervision is not there. There will be a gap, it is not in plumb. So filling of this will be more mortar, leads to cracks. Okay, they will keep the mortar. It has to be used within 1.5 to 2 hours, but it is not the case. Okay, so these are the things. Proper, even if you see the bricks over here, it is not kept in a proper way. It is kept, it has to be kept in the other way. The frog on the has to be on the top, so that the mortar goes into that and there will be a proper bond between two layers of the brick. So these are the simple things which we need to tell to the persons who are doing it. And especially about the workability, okay, it's nothing but amount of work required to compact the concrete mixture. Okay, continuity of pores. Okay, this is not much of a problem A, but this is a problem because there will be a continuity of pores. So the water from one end may pass on to the other end. Okay, so this we need to take care. Durability in aggressive environment. If you want to make a structure durable, proper mixed design has to be there. Reduction of cracking we need to take care. Optimum cover thickness has to be given. Proper compaction and curing has to be done. The construction quality has to be properly supervised, and we need to make a good construction. Okay, and definitely the proper maintenance of the structure is very, very important. Today we make the structures very well with all precautions, but the user who may not be an engineer or a civil engineer to be precise, okay, he doesn't know how to use that. I used to say that whenever you buy any of the appliances, maybe washing machine, TV, there's a manual given along with that, how to operate and all those things. Similarly, when a structure is there, a manual has to be made and given to the user so that he does proper maintenance of the structures. Okay, today maintenance is not proper or it is not done adequately. That's why the buildings are coming for more of repair works. So this has to be given a proper thought to this. Then only we can ensure a sustainable construction. Okay, some changes in IS 456-2000. Still, when I am in a site, I am definitely visiting a lot of sites over there. Okay, when I observe that, still many places it is M15 grade of concrete is being used, whereas in as per IS 456 they already revised and made a minimum structural grade of concrete has to be M20, not M15. M20, as you are aware, it is the minimum grade of concrete. M denotes the mix. 20 is it is the 28 days compressive strength of that material. It should be minimum 20 megapascal. Water cement ratio maximum 0.55. To make the structures more durable, this is one important thing: controlling of water cement ratio in a structure. If you keep it as less as possible, the durability will be there in the structures. But today I'm seeing in the site it is not being maintained because he has to do it. The workman should be reduced that way. Okay, his labor has to be reduced, so he puts more water. Exposure conditions have been increased from 4 to 5. Increase in cover to concrete. This is done to reduce, I mean, the onset of moisture to the steel. That should be delayed so that the corrosion can be delayed or avoided. Minimum cement content should be 300 kilo per cubic meter of concrete, and mixing by mechanical mixer itself. So these are the 6 changes which has been made by IS 456-2000, considering the durability of the structures. Okay, changes in IS 269 recently made in 2015 are there were separate codes for OPC 43, 53, and 53. All these have been merged and a single code has been created. And marking of best before date on the bags. Every cement bag, it has been made mandatory that this cement best before has to be put on sale. Okay, insoluble rest has been restricted to 5% irrespective of the cement. Changes in addition of supplementary cementitious materials. So these are the changes which has been made in IS 269-2015. Again, keeping it in mind the durability of the structures. Okay, so just in a few things, I'll just say that first of all, to make the structures more sustainable or durable, proper supervision has to be there. There is no substitute for proper supervision. Shelf life of cement need to be considered before the person opens the bag. He should see the batch of that. Okay, just like we see any of the medicine. Before seeing MRP, we see first the expiry date. Similar thing has to come in construction also. Quality check on material has to be there. Proper proportioning. Today they will use like not even a pharma also in many sites they are not using. They just use the putty, what we call only. So proper mixing, placing has to be there. Compacting and finishing of concrete, curing again a neglected part. So proper care has to be taken in proper curing of the structure so that it attains the desired strength. And mixed design, the people have a concept like if I go for mixed design, it works out costly. No, on the contrary, for the larger sites, if they go for mixed design, the cement content can be reduced without affecting the strength of the concrete. So it is nothing but economizing the concrete. So this needs to be told to the user, or I mean the contractors, so that they start making a proper mixed design and saving of cement. If saving of cement means again less emission of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Okay, use of proper cover blocks, no hacking of fresh or a green concrete, that I'll explain later. No plaster on concrete surface. Like if I ask the engineer why you are doing a plaster, the first answer he says, sir, it is given in the manual, or I mean the contract, or the BOQs. No, it is not that. Every activity which an engineer does in the site has to be questioned. Why I'm doing this? What is the necessity of this? Then he'll understand. In fact, if they do a proper concrete surface, no plastering is required. Okay, that will explain later. Someone told that concrete is superior than plaster. Okay, but it is not the case. Superior, I mean, to protect the concrete, they will put the mortar, which is not true. Good waterproofing for wet areas needs to be done to avoid the seepage and later the corrosion of the rebars. Plan when they'll communicate with all concerned. This I mean reworking should be minimum as possible, because many times they will construct, they will demolish and then construct. That should not be there. So planning has to be proper. Developing and nurturing good team of subcontractors like masons, shuttering, bar benders, etc. So what we think is these are just the like a labor. We have to just tell them to do this. No, they also have to be properly trained so that they do the job good, so that the structures, they will help in making the structures durable. Okay, this I was talking about the hacking. Okay, whenever a fresh concrete is there, suppose a column is there, they will do hacking on the surface so that the plaster bonding will be there. So this hacking has to be done definitely more than 7 days later, because if they do fresh, it will have a crack like this. Okay, which should not be done immediately on the concrete surface. At least 7 days have to be left. Then they do have to do the hacking. Contractors are doing early because if they do early, it will be easy for them to do the hacking. Otherwise, after 7 days, this concrete attains more strength. So probably they have to employ more persons for doing the hacking. So this needs to be considered. Okay, durable finishing material. I'm saying once we want to make the structures more durable, finishing materials are there like cement-based putty nowadays available that can be used. Sturdy paints and coatings. Okay, heat reflecting coatings are there, which needs to be used for exteriors so that the internal consumption of the AC should be reduced. Okay, so that we can save on the electricity. Okay, so we need to take use of these reflecting coatings on the exterior walls. Flooring in situ or natural stones we can go for. Waterproofing materials needs to be incorporated so that the leakage will be less. So the basic concepts are why plaster on RCC surface. As I told, you can avoid plaster on RCC surface. Whenever we paint it, we always say the painting. So instead of painting, let us say coating. A sturdy coating has to be given. Painting means you could be around, if I take a brand name, it could be ACE, Apex kind of thing of Asian paints. So if you take Apex, the thickness of this, the thickness of the film, if you do a 2 coats on walls, will be just around maybe 50 or 60 microns. But the structures, if they have to be durable, the outside exterior is the first thing which has to take the rain, the heat, all those things. So it has to be a proper coating has to be there. So better go for a very sturdy coating. Coating means it's almost the thickness is double the paint film. So it should be around more than 100 microns. So those kind of coating has to be done on the exterior of the surfaces of the buildings so that we can make them more sustainable. Cost wise, if you look at maybe high. Maybe around 15% more will be there. But always exterior, let us go for coatings rather than just paint. Okay, what is primer? Why it is applied needs to be understood. Why putty during painting process? Okay, this was I was talking about why sealing plaster. This is a sealing over there. A good like finish of the concrete is there. Why we need to again use mortar on this? You can save on the mortar. Saving the mortar means saving the cement. Saving the cement means less carbon dioxide emission to the atmosphere. Okay, so that we can say sustainability. So today there will be some undulations on this surface, maybe 1 or 2 mm. But those undulations can be taken care by cementitious putty. Apply a coarse putty on this, 1 or 2 coats, then finish with the final putty. So plasters can be totally avoided on these concrete surfaces. I have seen in much of the some of the buildings, maybe in government buildings, I have seen no plaster on the surfaces, and even they are not painted also. Okay, so traditional practices, these are being done. Quality of the materials needs to be checked. I just saying that why sealing plaster? Okay, this will save on hacking. This will save on water curing. Then cost of the plaster. This is all we can save if we are not doing a plaster on the concrete surface. Okay, so again, I'm saying this hacking, what has been done on the column, not necessary. Okay, no need of plaster and no need of curing. So all three items can be avoided if you go for directly the putty and the paint. Okay, paint and coating, I just explained over here. The word coating implies it is protective in nature. For example, if I ask any of the students also why, or any of the customer, why do we paint? They say mainly for decorative purpose. It should look good. But the main purpose of the painting or a coating is protective in nature. We have to apply the coat or a paint outside for protection of the structure. Second comes the aesthetic point. First point is protective, functional aspect, and second comes the definitely it should look good. So that has to be secondary. It provides excellent barrier to rainwater and carbon dioxide. It has higher film thickness, more than 100 microns, hence complete protection for a prolonged period. It is permeable to water vapor, means whatever water moisture is there, that can be breathed out. It is breathable. It is flexible and accommodates movement in substrate and bridges hairline cracks, and it has resistance against algae and fungus. So I just want to highlight because this is the first point of protection from the environment. So it has to be sturdy. Okay, let us not go for the cost wise. Okay. Okay, again, same thing I'm just mentioned over here. I just skip this. Now I will show few of the mistakes which are happening in the construction. If we take note of this, okay, then definitely lot of rework we can reduce, lot of cracks can be reduced. Okay, then cement reduction will also can be done with this, and hence the structures will be more durable and sustainable also. So let us understand what are these common mistakes which we are doing. First of all, as I mentioned, the water cement ratio is very high. What is being used is more than 0.55. If you reduce the water cement ratio and use plasticizer in making the concrete, definitely it will be more durable as well as economical. You can see the water on the surface of a slab. A lot of water is there because they have put more water into that. Why they have put more water? Because they want it to be easily spread without much of labor. Okay, that's why they put more water. Okay, so this can be avoided by reducing the water cement ratio. If they properly vibrate it, definitely there will be a proper compaction takes place and no honeycombing will be there. What generally the contractors give the reason is, sir, if I don't put more water, there will be honeycombing. No, use less water, use plasticizer, do proper vibration, there will be a perfect finish of the concrete without any honeycombs. See the cracks development because of more water which is there. You can see the cracks which are developed on the surface of a concrete slab. Steel being exposed, like honeycombing, what I say, steel is being exposed. This we need to avoid. Many areas I can show. This again excess water, mixing of various materials, it has to be mixed properly. But here, how they will make, they are stacked at one place, and on the another side, they'll keep on mixing and taking it. So this is not the right way of mixing the concrete. You can see the gaps over here. Okay, this is a poor planning. They have, like, this masonry should have been very closer to this, but there is a gap. Now, how they will fill it up? It has to be filled up with the concrete. Again, shuttering has to be put. Again, double work. Okay, even then you find a crack later on. Okay, so these are the rework which is done. Again, honeycombing will be there. Proper compaction not done. Set cement. They are not stored the cement properly. Cement is already hydrated over here. So this doesn't give any cementitious property. This has to be just thrown out. And again, wastage of costly cementitious material. Okay, see how the mortar is being mixed over there beyond its setting time. Okay, not proper mixing of the mortar over here. Okay, and you can see generally it happens whenever they do the masonry over here. Okay, whatever the droppings of this mortar will be there at the sides of this. So this they never clean it. They'll put the firma on this and fill the concrete within the column. So this again a mortar is there. Okay, that needs to be properly removed when it is wet only. If it hardens, again they need to use chisel and this thing, which takes more time as well as more labor. Okay, again the same thing, one more view where the mortar is accumulated. They have not cleaned it properly after the masonry is over. And they have filled up the column not properly over here. Masonry has been done. Then the filling of the concrete has taken place. Again, steel exposed over here. Okay. Again, not proper lintel not being filled properly over here. No proper cover for this steel. Okay. Again, same honeycombing. This I just wanted to say that the exterior, which is exposed to the rains, okay, the whole door has damaged over there. So it's not a proper planning. Okay. Now it is not in plumb. Okay, there is a difference between this column and this. There will be a difference. Now how they will level it? They'll put more of mortar over here. First of all, the mortar thickness will be more. That will come out later. And again, rework has to be done. Again, the extra durability will affect over there. Otherwise, the mason will put more of like dry cement. I don't know whether you are observed or not. To make it faster, they will put the mortar and then dry cement, they will splash it. Never ever we need to use the dry cement, because if it is used, more heat of hydration will be there, more cracks will develop later on. Okay, again, not proper placing or this thing. You can see over here, the gap is there. Okay, it's fine. But this gap would have been kept on the other side, because this is a concrete column is there. Take more of thickness of a mortar. Whereas this masonry, because of undulations, it will take more strength, more mortar thickness it can take. Whereas this cannot take. What you would have done is this, you would have touched the column, and here the gap would have been there. First of all, the gap should not be there. If at all, if it is there, then this side it is better compared to this side. So these are the common mistakes. Again, the same thing is here. Okay, again, one more area wherein the gaps are there between the frame of the door and the wall. So this again, the area where problems will come. Again, they have made a pardi just with the cement, like splashing of mortar only. So the bars are exposed. They have to do proper mortar to put up inside. Same thing over here. Again, honeycombing not properly done over here. Okay, now shuttering also, we need to take care, because here, if the gaps are there, the mortar, the cement slurry will come out of the concrete, leading to less strength of the slab over there. So this is to be properly filled up before we concrete it. This again the same, one more area. Again, the steps are there, not properly, because here we need to take care so that properly we need to fill the concrete so that honeycombing is reduced. One more area where the properly planning is not done, the gap is more. Okay, So these are some of the side problems which maybe the students which you are teaching may not be aware of this, but when they come out of the college, they need to be aware of these things. Or the industry academic interaction has to increase. The students have to visit the sites and understand why these come, how it has come, and what is the remedy for this. So they have to plan it properly to avoid these kind of problems at the site. Now, simple understand about the principles of concrete construction. I will say use less raw material and energy. As I said earlier, also the earth, the buildings are using a lot of energy. We need to properly plan to use less materials and energy. Use less clinker and water. As I said, less clinker means doesn't mean that less cement. Cement you can use it. That's a blended cement, but clinker should be less so that don't use OPC at all. Go for blended cement, okay, which is again durable and sustainable. Water, as I said, it is very detrimental. Optimum water has to be used. Water content has to be as minimum as possible so that the structure will be durable. Use more of waste material. Whatever the waste are there, we need to judiciously use in the structure. Increase useful life of buildings, improve defect tolerances. Okay. What is the meaning of this defect tolerance means? Okay, suppose the thumb of a column is out by 2 mm for a length of around 10 feet. That should not matter much. Okay. So again, the column should not be told or more mortar should not be used for that. That is the defect tolerance. Reduce emissions and waste. Analyze cost effectiveness. When I say analyze cost effectiveness means it comes in repair of a structure. So when you want to suppose the dilapidated structure is there, now should we demolish and construct a new building or should we repair it? To take a decision on this, you need to analyze the cost effectiveness. So one may be if the cost of making new one, okay, or the repair cost of making that dilapidated structure is more than 1/3 to half, then we need to demolish the structure and make the new. So that's why analyze the cost effectiveness, because we are using the costly energy from the earth. Okay, that's why we need to do a proper analysis. Analyze the social environment impact of this building which we are building over there, or a structure, anything is that. So that we need to analyze, then we need to take a decision on that. For better structures, what is more important is better mean sustainable as well as durable structure. Understand the material science behind each ingredient. The meaning of this is the students or the engineer should understand, suppose if he's making a concrete, okay, what kind of raw materials, why I should use cement first of all, what is the purpose of using fine aggregate, coarse aggregate, what role the plasticizer is doing. So he needs to understand the science behind that. Then only he will understand it better how the end will be. Involved in detailing of the products. What I mean is generally I have found it, they will make, the engineers will make a good structure, RCC, everything make. When it comes to the paint, final, oh yeah, no problem, yeah, you apply it. Okay, this is what. So what kind of paint, how many coats, why does you apply, what is in that paint, everything detailing, the engineer should be understanding that so that its usefulness will be there. For example, if I say a coating has to be done on exterior walls, suppose if it is a 1 liter paint is there, how much water has to be added, why it is to be added. So how the painter, suppose in the tin it is written as 15% water has to be diluted for the paint. Now 15% of 1 liter. So will the supervisor, the painter understand this? So if it has to be made understand what needs to be given for him. So these kind of detailing the engineer has to go in so that there won't be any rework and he will help in making the sustainable. So definitely look into their sustainable materials, develop good contractors and build up manpower, because at the same time the materials quality needs to be looked up, but the workmanship also to be given a proper due. Upgrade skill set of mason, painter and supervisors. unless and until we have a skilled workers, we cannot get the workmanship. So a proper training has to be there of a mason, painter, supervisors. Okay. Sharing of knowledge. Okay, make it a habit. Anything we learn, that has to be passed on to the supervisors, mason, or a painter, whosoever it is. So sharing of knowledge has to be there, so that they will also understand and make no mistakes. So let us together make a leak-free and a sustainable structures. So with all, as a faculty, we need to put more like focus on these things also when we are teaching to students, so that everybody's contribution has to be there, like faculty, the students, the engineers, contractors, mason, painters, so and even the consumers. So everyone has to put in their inputs to make the structures more durable. So this is what is required. So before I conclude, I just want to say that we need to tell the students to understand better the science behind each of the materials they are using, and more of usage blended cement, so that less clinker usage will be there, which leads to lesser carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Okay, that way we can make sustainable structures. Reuse and recycling of demolished concrete. If you see today, a lot of structures are there which are being demolished. Now, where that waste goes? So we need to understand how we can use those waste materials over there into making again a new into the new structures. Use and promotion of local materials. This is very important. Whatever, suppose the stones are available locally, so we need to use the stone masonry at least for the foundation and all. Okay, so if the suppose if I say AAC blocks are there, that is autoclave aerated concrete blocks. Okay, initially maybe 5 years back they were there only in Hyderabad, Mumbai, and Chennai. Okay, it is not necessary that I need to get, say, I'm sitting in maybe like Dharwad. It's not necessary that I should get those things from the Bombay or other things. So understand, look into local materials so that the transportation cost will be less. Even while transportation, there will be emission of carbon dioxide, there will be usage of fossil fuel. These are all can be reduced. So that's why understand, look out for the local materials. So we need to promote more of local materials. Making the structures, buildings durable. As I said, by using the durable raw materials, whatever the materials we are using, let them be more durable over there. And there is no substitute for good supervision. So definitely we need to have a good supervision of the structures, so that with the durable materials, with the good like inputs or a supervision, we can make the structures more sustainable and durable over there. And as I told earlier also, better maintenance of structures is very important. I always relate the structures as human beings only, because as we need a regular maintenance, we are doing a lot of exercises, diet and everything to maintain our body. Similarly, the structures has to be maintained properly if you want to make the structures durable as it's whatever the lifespan is there. So we need to have that. So better maintenance of structures by making some manuals and giving it to the users, so that they can have a proper maintenance plan. Like simple thing, before the monsoon is there, the user has to go to the terrace, clean all the terrace, whatever the blockage is there at the exit, remove it, clean it, so that the water doesn't log. Okay, it will free flow outside the building. So these things has to be taken care to ensure that the structures are more durable. Okay, so this is what I just wanted to share with you. And if any questions are there, we are open to the questions.
Yeah, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, tell me.
Yeah, sir. Participants having certain questions, sir.
Yes, sir, definitely I am open. Kindly ask questions.
Yeah, sir. Okay, sir. The question is from Gomadi Nagajodi, ma'am.
Pardon?
The question is from Gomadi Nagajodi, ma'am.
Okay.
The question is the strength gain of fly ash based cement is more after 28 days only. Yearly cement gain is less. Practically, all in situ structural members are cured for 21 days or so. What would be the strength of such members practically?
Okay, fine. Thank you for the question. It's a very relevant question. When I say definitely the blended cement, okay, rate of gain of strength compared to OPC is less. But today, if you see any of the blended cement, they are having even the high early strength also. Okay, because there will be a secondary reaction. That's why the strength gain will be there even after 28 days also much faster compared to OPC. But today, if you see, many of the cement companies are making a better initial strength blended cement. So you can use for any of the structures the blended cement. Okay, they will, the rate of gain of strength will be equal to the OPC. Okay, it all designs on how you design that concrete over there. Okay, today the high early strength blended cements are available from the companies. Okay,
Yes, sir.
is it clear, Gomati? Yeah, you
Yes,
can
sir.
go for the second question.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir. You
sir.
can proceed for the second question.
Yeah, sir. The next question is from Mr. Srinivasa Murthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, when fly ash is being used as supplementary cementitious material in concrete as cement replacement, whether they are completely taking part in the hydration reaction.
Yeah, as you have seen my equation over there, definitely the hydration process, they will take place because first the initial C3S or a cement react with water forms CSH gel and the calcium hydroxide. Later, this fly ash reacts with calcium hydroxide and forms the CSH gel. Definitely, they are taking part in hydration process and making again the CSH gel, which increases the binding properties of a cement. Okay. Yeah, I think if the students are not directly interacting and if they are not like, if they want still more queries or details on that, I will share my email ID. They can write it to me so that I will interact with them or I will answer those queries. Yeah, next question, please.
Yeah, yeah, sir. Next question is from Mr. Muthukumar. How is slag based concrete better than fly ash based concrete?
Yeah, it is first of all, as far as if you want a earlier strength more, okay, definitely the fly ash based cement has got high early strength compared to our slag based GGBS, what we call. Okay, GGBS has got little bit delayed strength. Okay, the percentage of clinker in that is less. Whereas the PPC, we are making up to say 30% or 35% fly ash is being added. Whereas in GGBS, we are adding almost around 50 to 60% of that. So the clinker proportion is less in GGBS based cement. Okay. So if you want the initial higher strength, definitely you go for PPC based cement. Later the strength and even the durability, if is better if you compare with the GGBS and the fly ash based. Okay.
Yeah, sir. Next question is from Mr. Greason.
Yeah.
Any other admixture you can prefer to improve the performance of cement concrete?
Yeah, definitely, there are many more admixtures. Okay, can be added. One is the chemical admixtures you are adding to like the rheological properties of the concrete to changes that you are adding this. Apart from that, also the other materials can be added in the concrete. Okay, to make it better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sir. Next is apart from environment friendly, what is the other role of green materials?
Kindly repeat it.
Yeah, apart from environmental friendly, what is the other role of green materials?
Okay, so the green material, as we say, suppose I will again stick down to these two only. In a cement, we are adding this fly ash as well as this GGBS as a greener material. Like whatever the other industry waste material we are using in cement and making it green. That's one thing. apart from green, what we say, I mean, what is green? Green is nothing but like it is environmental friendly. That's why we call green. It is not a green in color. Okay, but more important is it is enhancing the later day strength also. It is reducing the cracks in the structure. So these are the advantages which these blended materials will give. The finish will be met, the rheological properties will be better, the workability will be better. So the usage will also be better compared to just environmental friendly. Yeah.
Yes,
Next question.
next question is from Sharmila ma'am. Which which technology is used to reduce CO2 emission during concrete production?
Sharmila madam, the whatever we are using in the cement factory, again, our more focus is to reduce the CO2. The technology is nothing but how to reduce the clinker and increase the percentage of these materials like GGBS and the flash materials. So those things. And secondly, the total we need to the efficiency of the plant is also made better, okay, so that the consumption of the power, the consumption of the fuel is reduced. So these are the things which we are making in the cement unit to make it better apart from CO2. Okay, yeah, next question.
Yeah, sir. Next question is from Dr. Srinivasulu.
Yeah.
Sir, most of the speakers are speaking their field knowledge along with academia. I request you to make us video and share in YouTube so that many young faculty and graduated and present pursuing students will be benefited, sir. This is my personal opinion.
Okay, thank you. Definitely. See, a small clippings kind of thing will be made and will be shared in the YouTube. In fact, I am going for many of the as a guest lecturer between the industry and academic interactions over there. So my passion is to interact with more of students. Okay, and even in the sites also, I'm visiting a lot of sites over there. So whatever the tips, I mean the experience which I've gained is that I am sharing over there. So I love to do that. Definitely, I'll think of sharing in the YouTube also. Thank you for the suggestion, sir.
Yeah, sir. Next question is from Mr. Janasekhar.
Yeah. Tell me, sir.
Yeah, sir. Sir, what your suggestion is in testing of concrete sample of durability with respect to ages?
See, as far as RCPT test, we'll do it. Okay, to know the this thing. That's what we do it over there. Okay, it's a chloride penetration into the concrete that we'll do it over there. Okay, apart from that, it is a normal strength. Okay, crack development. These will be assessed over here for knowing the durability of the structures. Otherwise, if you want to know, there will be non-destructive tests are available. Okay, to know the health of the concrete, there are various NDT are there by which we'll come to know the health of that structure.
Yeah, sir. Next question. Can I move to sir?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Madhusudana Reddy. Sir, how we can apply green materials for smart cities? Are we going to use other types of materials? What are these materials with respect to green materials?
Yeah, see, when we say smart cities, no, even though the topic is there for smart cities, okay, but these are applicable everywhere, like, okay, even in any building, if you want to for a greener building, again, I will first of all go all the materials which we are using, go for a little bit of local materials, okay, don't go for plasters on the RCC surface or a concrete surface over there. Today, good materials are available like cementitious based skim coats are available. Use those things to avoid the plaster, okay, and green in the sense like the proper attention has to be given for like ventilation, lighting and all. Proper planning has to be done for southwest direction and all, so that the usage of electricity can be reduced. Okay, usage of AC can be reduced, lighting can be reduced. So for proper planning, these can be done. As far as materials are concerned, okay, you can go for definitely a blended cement to use that, and exterior, a good kind of coatings which are heat resisting has to be used for that. So this will help in making the structures sustainable as well as greener, and you can get the ratings, green rating, like from the like agencies.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Next question is from Dr. J. Hemamani.
Yeah.
Sir, can you please explain what are green materials?
Yeah, Dr. Hemamalani, the greener materials are, suppose I will say, if you use a blended cement, definitely it is a greener material. If you use a coating, okay, heat reflecting coating on the walls, it is a greener material. On for a slab also, or a terrace also, if you use these kind of materials, these are all greener. But what is greener material? Greener material is one which makes, if it is pertaining to a buildings, okay, more sustainable, more durable. That itself is a green. If it reduces the heat inside the structure, okay, then it is a greener material. Okay, these are the things which I can think of for the structures. Apart from those, okay, you can absorb the carbon dioxide by having more of plantations or a terrace gardening. Those are the other things. But as far as buildings is concerned, if you use these kind of materials, definitely you'll be using these greener materials to make those structures more sustainable. Yeah, I think suppose whatever I am answering, if the audience is not satisfied with these answers, kindly let them mail to me. Okay, I will have a little bit one-to-one interaction to understand it better, and maybe we can have a like amicable solution, this thing, answers for that. Yes, sir. Next question.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Yeah, sir. Next question is how we can regain and strengthen the durability of existing foundation or buried structures.
Yeah, this I think we need to look into that because we have done many of the structures in Mumbai, wherein it all depends on the space availability also. Okay, if the space is available, then we can have an additional columns over there. In Dadar, Mumbai, we have done 2-3 structures wherein it was just a 2-story structure that has been made into a 7-story structure over there by taking additional columns outside the building and making it as a structure, separate structure over there. That's one part. Second is we need to look into those things, understand that footings, how it is and all. Based on that, the structural engineer better can give the solutions. Okay, sir. Next question.
Yeah, sir. The questions are over, sir.
Okay, okay. So kindly give them my email ID. Okay. Can we see them? I would have. Okay. I'll stop sharing.
Yes, sir. You can stop.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It takes more time for even stopping. So, okay. Anyway, just a minute. It is just closing. Yeah. Tell me, sir. You can give them my email ID over there.
Sir, I will share it to them. Is it possible for me to?
If any of the more, pardon?
Sir, participants also required PPT, so I will share along
Yeah,
with
yeah.
them. I will give the all
Fine.
expert email IDs. No issue, sir. I will share it.
Fine. Yeah, give them all. Even for all of them, you can share my email ID so that if any queries, anything more they want, okay, if they are not satisfied with my answers, they can interact. They can write a mail to me so that I can reply to all the mails over there.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Morgan.
So, shall we close or how it is?
Just a minute, sir.
Yeah. First of all, I'm thankful for the college for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts to all the audience over there, all the faculties, senior faculties, and I'm sure that they have at least note down few points from this interaction of more than 1.5 hours. And my more like the success of this session depends on how they will like use these points in enriching the knowledge of the students. First of all, if they might be also practicing in some of the areas, they are maybe also constructing building. So whatever the point they have came today, how they will do the implementation of these points and make the structures more durable and sustainable. So the success of this depends on those things. And also, I'll again repeat to all the faculties that the students should be made aware about the concepts more, because today a lot of resources are available. The internet is there, Google is there, they will go through it, but the concept should be made very clear to those students, so that in life the students will apply those concepts and make the structures, or wherever the field they go, they will use it for those concepts. So this is what I want to share my this thing to them. Okay, so thank you, sir. Thank you once again for all the team, the all over that. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you.
Morgan,
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your valuable time. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your valuable time with us. And all the participants are saying that the presentation was good and very knowledgeable. And thanks for sharing your knowledge with us.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So small announcement. Morgan, will you please announce? Sir, will you please wind up, sir? Just you close your
Yeah,
window,
sir.
sir.
I'm disconnecting.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Morgan, you please announce the schedule of afternoon program.
Okay. Okay, sir. Dear participants, today afternoon we will be having a small presentation by all the other participants. Due to time constraint, we are just selected some participants, and we will be doing a presentation. After that, we will be having a validatory function and concluding this FDB program by today.
What time they have to be there?
The afternoon session will be starting around 2 o'clock. So all the participants are requested to just register by 1:45 p.m.
Zoom app.
The presentation is through Zoom app. We will be sharing the link before the 1 hour.
Okay, thank you very much. Please.
Thank you.